Greetings builders, Daniel here and welcome to another best build selection. This is the video where I show you 3 great builds for a specific topic, and today's theme is for those who like to play with the dark forces. I'm talking about the chaos builds. And if you want to try any of those, you can find links for POBs and complete guides in the video description. Let's start this video with the most classic chaos build of all, the Essence Drain Cultist with the Witch class. Essence Drain is a skill that drains the life of your enemies and even restores your life by a percentage of the damage dealt. Since it can only be used in one enemy at a time, we also use Contagion to spread the damage, resulting in an amazing increase in clear speed. To read the pros of this build, I would start with how easy it is to play. You just need to cast Contagion and Essence Drain to watch the whole screen of enemies melting before your eyes. This character is also very easy to put together because it doesn't need any mandatory unique item, and above all of that, it's very safe with many defensive layers. Now to list the cons, the first thing that comes to my mind is the boss damage. Even though this is a very cheap build, you need to invest several divine orbs to have a big single target damage. But don't worry too much about that, this build is meant as a red map farmer and it kills map bosses easily even on a low budget. As for budget, this build is very cheap, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 100 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. Don't forget that on PoEbuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipment that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. When you get a big area of effect in your Contagion, you kill enemies way beyond your sight with only one cast. The boss damage on the other hand is a 7 out of 10. It will take longer than usual to kill Guardians and Pinnacle bosses, but you have no problem against regular map bosses. For the survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with over 100,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression, amazing life regeneration, and even a little bit of block chance. Next, we have this awesome league starter, the Toxic Rain Pathfinder with the Ranger class. This build uses the permafrost and chaos damage of Pathfinder to deploy many powerful pods that drain the life out of your enemies. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how easy it is to put together. You don't need any mandatory unique item and the leveling is very simple. Another great feature of this build is that your flasks are going to stay up all the time, even on boss fights, and the life regeneration from your life flask will be eternal, making the damage over time look like a joke to you. This build is great for beginners because you end up having great clear, boss damage and survivability with low investment. Now to list the cons, the main issue of this build is mana. Since we're dealing with a damage over time build, we cannot reach mana or life. Because of that issue, we need rare rings that reduce the mana cost of skills. As for budget, you can get it destroying early in-game maps with only around 100 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines, where you can totally do it with less. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. As a Pathfinder, your Quicksilver and Silver flasks are going to have more effect and be up 100% of the time, granting a lot of attack and movement speed. Also, you only need to deploy the pods once and they will drain surrounding enemies, granting a smooth gameplay. The boss damage also gets 9 out of 10. Combining your strength with Toxic Rain totems, bosses just drawing countless pods. Even the big bosses are going to melt like butter before your eyes. For this survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This is because this build has high evasion, high armor and spell suppression. Also, your defensive flasks have more effect and are up all the time, even on bosses. Above all, you can use Toxic Rain from a safe distance and its pods heavily slow down enemies. Finally, we have the powerful Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder, also with the Ranger class. Poisonous Concoction uses no weapons, instead it uses your life flask to inflict massive poisons on your enemies. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how simple it is to level up. It gets really strong, fast and safe with low investment, making it a perfect build for beginners. Now to list the cons, I would point that even though this is a cheap build, it can get expensive to activate all the auras. This is because you need the unique helmet, the Devouring Diadem to do so. But don't worry, this is not mandatory at all. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 85 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. For clear speed, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. You're fast and throw many flasks that poison enemies and cause nearby ones to also get poisoned. It's a great clear speed and very satisfying to watch. The boss damage is also great and deserves 9 out of 10. The projectiles can shotgun bosses for a lot of poison damage. For the survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build counts with many defensive layers such as high armor, high evasion, spell suppression, and 50% chance to block attacks and spells. All of that grants this build almost 100,000 effective HP. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think about those chaos builds? Please take a second to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day, and don't forget to keep building!